Hello, dear friends. My name is Sofia Dorinskaya. I am a doctor and the head of the Center for Medical Information. Today, I would like to continue the conversation about cholesterol and also touch on the topic of statins, because the previous video about cholesterol was very successful. So, let's continue this topic a little bit. I looked at different sources from before medicine became a seller of pharmaceutical drugs, and that became its only goal. And of course, I found a lot of interesting things. Let's start with the fact that the main organ in the human body where processes related to cholesterol take place is the liver. It is in the liver that cholesterol is synthesized, and it is in the liver that the active form of the vitamin D is produced from cholesterol. And it is in the liver that all these processes take place. There is also an internal regulation of cholesterol levels in the body. This is an enzyme called cholesterol esterase, which is an enzyme that breaks down excess cholesterol in the body. Where is the enzyme cholinesterase located? First of all, in the liver, then in the pancreas, then in the intestinal mucosa, and in the kidneys. That is, the body has its own system for regulating cholesterol levels. This is the enzyme cholinesterase. By the way, I want to note that I was not able to find any studies on this enzyme. So, the idea of people who are trying to, as they say, treat high cholesterol or hypercholesterolemia doesn't consider natural regulation at all. They don't find out how cholinesterase works, what causes its dysfunction, why it doesn't work to naturally lower high cholesterol, and so on. So basically, no work is being done in this direction at all. At least, I haven't been able to find anything. So, the liver is our main organ, where processes related to cholesterol take place, as well as the synthesis of the active form of the vitamin D, where cholesterol is involved. What are the normal cholesterol levels in the blood that were established before medical and pharmaceutical companies decided to make money by selling statins? Hypercholesterolemia is considered when the cholesterol level in the blood is more than 250 mg/%. Converted to our usual numbers, that's 6.465 to 7 millimoles per liter. This is the norm. If you look up any reference books on the internet right now, the most accessible artificial intelligence gives us 5.2. So we can see that the normal cholesterol level in the blood is actually being deliberately understated, because these are data from Soviet medicine. From this, we can conclude that when you come in with test results between 6 and 7, that's normal. You don't need to take any statins. What does Soviet medicine tell us? What did it say? What did it write in its publications? In the same great medical encyclopedia regarding the treatment of hypercholesterolemia, meaning levels above 6 or 7, what did it do? At first, and the first point was to reduce the amount of the vitamin. That is, if a person was taking the vitamin, it was removed from their prescriptions. they were told not to take anything that increases the vitamin. Why? Because obviously, if our cholesterol is being used to produce the vitamin, then if we add the vitamin from outside, the cholesterol level will, by definition, start to rise. A little, because the body will try to maintain it. Ultimately, homeostasis is about constancy. But still, as I understand it, why is everyone suddenly obsessed with this vitamin right now? Why? So that, for example, you come in with, let's say, 6.3, they prescribe you the vitamin, you come back with 6.3, and they tell you, see, your cholesterol is going up. And especially when it's recognized, it's also called hypercholesterolemia, which, according to Soviet standards, is actually considered untrue. This, according to Soviet standards, is a healthy condition for a person. But in this way, it turns out that we can artificially raise a person's cholesterol level by giving them a vitamin that is naturally produced in the human body. And in general, there is really no reason to prescribe a vitamin just like that, unless you live in a cold, damp, dark basement for months and never go out into the daylight at all. If that's not the case, then there's no reason to prescribe a vitamin just like that, because the body starts to inactivate the excess very quickly, losing the same vitamin A. In our bodies, vitamin D is inactivated by vitamin A. And, like absolutely all doctors, I have a manual on internal diseases right here. In the one where it is described, atherosclerosis. It says that atherosclerotic plaques can't just form on a vessel for no reason. There must be damage to the intima of the vessel, meaning there must be damage to the inner lining. And we've already talked a million times about how the inner lining gets damaged. It's a vitamin A deficiency. And here, by increasing vitamin D, the sellers are killing two birds with one stone. Formally, your cholesterol levels will even start to rise within certain ranges, and your vessel intima will begin to get damaged because the excess vitamin will start to destroy your vitamin A. A deficiency of vitamin A leads to epithelial disorders, to shedding and damage, because it peels off, forming microcracks that the body will start to fill with cholesterol. She says she will continue discussing the Great Medical Encyclopedia. Regarding initial treatment, people weren't immediately given medications, although of course in the Soviet Union they did have them, and there was treatment. Well, the first thing we discussed is a specific recommendation to reduce the amount of vitamins a person might consume in one way or another. Next, vitamin C in high doses. It says so. What are considered high doses? It states 1.5 grams there. Vitamin C. The dose indicated was 1.5 grams per day. Next is vitamin B1 in high doses. The doses are not specified, but high doses are 500 mg, 750 mg, 1000 mg. These are good high doses of vitamin B1. You need to understand that B vitamins are not toxic. There won't be any problems if you take 1 gram of vitamin B1 per day, for example. Next is nicotinic acid. Well, that's also vitamin B3, also known as PP. Nicotinic acid. Nicotinic acid was always prescribed for hypercholesterolemia. And I'll say it again. This 6,457 millimeters, that was the normal value. So your value is between 6 and 7 according to Soviet standards. I'll repeat myself. Back when medicine didn't aim to sell medications and wasn't influenced by pharmaceutical companies, this was considered the normal value. But if it was higher, then nicotinic acid was prescribed. So what do statins do? Let's take a look at what statins actually do. Statins. Let me pick another color now. Statins block enzymes in the liver that lead to the production of cholesterol. So, statins, simply put, disrupt the function of the liver. Statins disrupt the liver's function when it comes to synthesizing cholesterol. What are the statistics? Let's take a look. What are the statistics? Well, you might say, probably smart people were involved. Probably some scientists were working on it. Maybe they really care about our health. Maybe they created something good. But let's take a look at the global statistics on cardiovascular diseases. So, over the past 30 years, the number of cases of cardiovascular diseases has doubled, and the number of deaths has increased by 50% over the past 30 years. The statistics continue to grow. By the year 2030, statin sales are projected to reach up to $23 billion a year. That is, they want to keep increasing and increasing statin sales. Even though those who sell you these statins, the pharmaceutical companies, all those doctors and so on who promote all this, say otherwise. They tell you that this will help you avoid cardiovascular diseases, including atherosclerosis. However, statistics show that the number of cardiovascular disease cases has doubled, and the number of deaths has increased by 50% over the past 30 years. And worldwide, according to the World Health Organization, a twofold increase in cardiovascular diseases is projected in 25 years. So, they are also projecting a twofold increase in cardiovascular diseases in another 25 years. At the same time, they plan to increase statin sales to $23 billion. So, the statistics for deaths, diseases, and statin sales are all on the rise. And please tell me, where is it when taking statins? Where is it for us? A decrease in disease rates, helping people with cardiovascular diseases. Where is the improvement in people's health here? Yes, there isn't any. The statistics show that there isn't. From here, let's look at which main organ is involved, where this whole play called cholesterol takes place, and the synthesis of cholesterol, and only cholesterol activates the vitamin. The main organ where this theatrical performance takes place is the liver. Therefore, when a person has hypercholesterolemia, meaning high cholesterol or a lot of light cholesterol, we obviously need to pay attention to the functioning of the liver. The problem lies in the impaired functioning of the liver. And let's take a look at the vitamins that were prescribed during the Soviet Union. C is an iron liver vitamin. It is part of the liver triad. E, C, E, B. 1 is a vitamin that improves nerve conduction, vitamin B. 3 is nicotinic acid. Without it, never and nowhere. It's the foundation of everything. Let's see which organs contain cholinesterase. Again, it's the liver, the pancreas, the intestinal mucosa, and the kidneys. The liver, the pancreas, the intestinal mucosa, and the kidneys. Scurvy, caused by vitamin C deficiency, and pellagra, caused by a B vitamin deficiency, lead to their destruction. And in our Soviet protocols, please note, they were all included. Vitamin B1 is essential here to improve innervation and to enhance the function of the thyroid gland, which in turn regulates the overall function of the pancreas. Vitamin B1 and the B group vitamins are essentially important and necessary. Moreover, It says high doses here. It doesn't even specify how much. It just says high doses. So, what should we do about it? First of all, here we have the Soviet standard. And if you think you're in good condition, then you are actually a clinically healthy person. You were considered a clinically healthy person. With such indicators in the Soviet Union, you didn't need to receive any treatment. You need to understand that the human body doesn't change depending on the political or financial situation. And if research in the Soviet Union showed that this was the norm, then there is no reason to believe that 5.2 is the norm now, and 6.46 is considered high. No reason exists. The human body hasn't changed over the past 30 years. We can assume here that this is a deliberate distortion, an understatement of the results in order to create a market for statins. To people who are clinically healthy, and the comments, for example, that I saw came to the channel over 6 years. Statins turn a person into a wreck. That's right, because they destroy the liver's function. Yes, exactly in this particular area. But then, as you understand, everything in the body is interconnected, and after that, everything starts to fall apart. Because the liver is responsible for mineral metabolism, and by disrupting the liver's function, people's mineral metabolism is destroyed, and quite a lot. Well, and as a result, osteoporosis occurs. And if you look at the statistics, lately the number of people with osteoporosis has just been growing. Well, it's been increasing unexpectedly fast. Is there a connection? Are there any studies? Is there a correlation between the increase in the number of people taking statins and the rise in osteoporosis statistics? I don't know. I don't think anyone is particularly interested in or will pay attention to this. So, to sum up, the two videos, our previous video and what I told you today. Which organ needs to be healthy for you to have good cholesterol levels? It's the liver. What should you do to avoid so-called light cholesterol and have good heavy cholesterol? You need to eat at least 850 grams of meat per day as a finished product. I will always repeat this, and I can make another video discussing meat. But for now, you just need to eat meat. Why? Because heavy cholesterol, I repeat, is cholesterol that is stabilized by more than one protein molecule. That is 2, 3, 5, I don't know how many there are. And light cholesterol is cholesterol that is stabilized by a single protein molecule. What does that mean? This organism simply doesn't have any more protein molecules, and it doesn't know where to get more than one protein molecule. Therefore, give the organism enough protein so that it has enough for heavy cholesterol, so it can stabilize it. The body requires an unknown number of protein molecules, possibly 2, 3, 5, or 15, to combine and stabilize the cholesterol molecule, making it heavy. At a minimum, statistics say that 850 grams of meat as a finished product is good, but 1 kilogram is better. 1 kilogram is better because the statistics improve dramatically when a person follows the recommendations and eats 1 kilogram of meat as a finished product per day. That is, liver. Next, you don't need to eat like crazy. You don't need vitamins. You don't need them. I'll repeat it again. Cholesterol is used for vitamin synthesis. If you take unnecessary vitamins, your cholesterol will naturally increase because it's not being used for that. You don't need to take the vitamin. When is it unjustified? I don't even know of any situations when you need to take the vitamin. Because even with rickets, as it turns out now, the core of the problem is the condition of the liver and mineral metabolism. You C and vitamin C, but who gets rickets? If you have rickets, well, okay, you need vitamin D, including all these vitamins, including improving liver function. It's not just like that. You woke up in the morning, everything was fine, and for some reason, you started taking vitamins. You shouldn't take it because it raises your cholesterol, and your body also starts to suffer from a deficiency of vitamin A, which it uses to inactivate the excess vitamin. And so, artificially, you end up creating a vitamin A deficiency for yourself. Vitamin A deficiency leads to damage of the vessels intima. And now you have high cholesterol, and cholesterol starts to repair these damaged vessels, which you actually created for yourself with your own hands. You created this situation yourself. Understood. And global statistics show that statins do not lead people to cardiovascular health because both statin sales are increasing and the incidence of cardiovascular diseases is rising, as well as mortality from cardiovascular diseases. It's just skyrocketing. 50% more deaths. That is, when it wasn't being treated, there were fewer deaths, but now we've suddenly started treating it, and deaths have increased. I hope we've covered this topic in detail. You can ask your questions. Thank you for your attention. If you have any health issues, please come and submit requests for tests and for nutrient deficiencies. We will help everyone, help you recover, help you find out your situations that prevent you from feeling healthy, and in a natural way. With the help of nutrients, we will help your body recover. Thank you very much.